Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jon Courtenay.
I love a piano. I just love a piano. I love to hear somebody play on a piano, a grand piano. It simply carries me away. I know the fine way to treat a Stein, a Fazioli. I love to run my fingers on the keys, on the ivories, and with the pedal, I love to meddle. Not only songs from old Broadway, I'm so excited if I'm invited to hear a piano genius play. So you can keep your fiddle, you can keep your bow. Give me a Piano. I love to stop right beside an upright or a fine-tuned baby grand. Well, a very warm welcome. Hello, good evening, good afternoon. Good evening, I think it's being broadcast. It is afternoon at the moment. We are here at the Burns Recital Theatre Hall. Hall or a theatre? It's a Burns Recital Hall, I believe. Yes, looks like a theatre. We have a very socially distanced live audience, considering of my entire technical crew, who are going to make enough noise to make it sound as if it's full, and they're going to laugh in all the right places. And Maggie is here as well, and we have exactly 3 people socially distanced in my audience and everybody watching. So a very warm welcome, a very special welcome to our leavers, who this concert is really in aid of, to say goodbye and good luck. We'll talk about that later. This song is called I Love a Piano, and it was written by Irving Berlin. And it's a song that you're expected to learn to play if you play the piano. Things like that, and sing us a song, you're the piano man. There are certain songs that you have to learn to play if you play the piano. And I started learning very young. I was 5 or 6 years old when my dad taught me to play my first song. He sat me next to him at the piano, and he taught me how to play a children's song, because I was only 5. This audience is laughing. I wish you could see them. I mean, they're in fits of stitches. And then he taught me Nat King Cole songs. My dad was a big Nat King Cole fan. And he had all the records, all the LPs of Nat King Cole. And I remember being about 6 years old and learning this beautiful Nat King Cole song. Unforgettable. No, it doesn't matter. And then I learned TV. I could play by ear, which is, I'm sure many of you will know, I didn't read music. I could listen to a song on the radio or the television, and I could play it on the piano. So I learned television theme tunes. And I want to try something with our socially distanced audience, and at home as well, if you're watching, if you could join in with this. There was a television show called Birds of a Feather. Do my live audience remember Birds of a Feather? So it was a comedy sitcom, and it had a beautiful theme tune called What'll I Do. Is what'll I do when you are far away and I am blue? What'll I do? Really pretty tune. And then it had this comedy show. But I learned to play the theme tune. And I'd like to just play the beginning for you. If you could help me out, my live audience and tech crew. Basically, I'm going to sing. And when I point like this, I need you to sing one word. And the word is ting. T-I-N-G. Ting. If we can have a quick rehearsal at home as well, after 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So this is the theme tune to Birds of a Feather. Just before I do it, let me explain. Not everybody is going to get this, because this is really funny. And I've done this a lot. And in live audience situations with 1,000 people, I'd say 500 of them don't get it, and 500 of them laugh. And the 500 that don't get it are wondering why the other half are laughing. Now, that might happen with you if you're sat with a mum, a dad, a husband, a wife, a brother or sister. Maybe one of you will get it, the other one won't. Don't explain it. If one of you gets it and the other one doesn't, don't explain it, just leave it. And I guarantee in the middle of the night, you'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you'll be giggling because your brain will have suddenly worked out what the joke was. It happens every time. So don't panic, is what I'm saying, if you don't get it straight away. Don't forget, ting, that's all you have to do. All right, here we go. Beautiful song. What'll I do when you afar. Perfect. So, that was the theme tune. None of the live audience got it. That was the theme tune to Birds of a Feather. This is the stuff I was learning when I was at this wonderful establishment. If you don't know, I am an old boy of the Royal Hospital School. I was here in 1984 until 1991. So there's a lot that I don't recognise now. The chapel still looks similar, but everything else seems to have changed beyond recognition. We didn't have this wonderful hall to perform in either, so it's a real pleasure to be here performing for you. Talking when I was 5 and learning these old songs, children's songs especially, I remember learning, how much is that doggy in the window, the one with the waggly tail? How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy's for sale. Very popular children's song, written a long time before I was born, but because I was an only child and I didn't have any friends, I learned to sing it backwards. Window thee in doggy, that is much how. Tail waggly thee with one the. Window thee in doggy, that is much how. Sell for doggy, that hope do I. You're welcome. Now here is a fact you may not know. A dog can be taught the piano. Play Mozart or Chopin he well might, but his bark will be worse than his bite. Louder, please, live audience, louder. Sorry, it's just, it doesn't matter, it's fine. To be fair, it's not the kind of joke that gets a round of applause. I love a piano, I love a piano. I love to hear somebody play on a piano, a grand piano. It simply carries me away. So you can keep your fiddle, you can keep your bow. Give me a Piano. I love to stop right beside an upright or a fine-tuned baby grand, oh baby grand, oh baby, fine-tuned baby grand, oh baby. Wow, thank you very much. I have to say, I have done shows to less people, so this is still lovely. It doesn't matter that we have a limited audience. Okay, so this is a remarkable honour to be asked to do this. And when I first started putting stuff together to perform for you today, I put all my sort of usual stuff in, which I've performed for the last couple of years. And then I thought it would be an opportunity to do some new stuff. And they say if you're going to put something new in the show, you should sandwich it in between two things that you know work well. Well, I've really gone for it today, and we've got about 3 or 4 new things, to the extent that I have notes on the piano that I haven't. One of them I was writing in the car on the way here. I actually recorded it on my laptop and played it through my phone in the car so I could learn it on the way here. I'm just telling you in case it all goes horribly wrong, which if you're watching the broadcast, you will never know, because we have good editors and they will be able to rewind and make it look like nothing happened. And my capacity audience will be very kind to me if it all goes wrong. But I do spend a lot of time on cruise ships. I've been traveling the world for the last sort of 10 or 15 years, performing on some of these wonderful vessels in huge theatres with 8-piece bands and 2,000 people in the audience. And generally speaking, it's a remarkable experience. I mean, these ships have changed a lot just in the last 20 years. It used to be for sort of retired people with a lot of money, and now there's ships and cruises and destinations for families and every budget. And I've performed on all the ships, the big, the small, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some of them still cater to the older members of our community, which is great. And I love performing. I'm not aged, but sometimes the audience is older than you expect. You arrive at a venue and you walk out on the stage, and the audience is more mature than you were led to believe. And sometimes you have no idea how old the audience is going to be until you walk onto the stage. I learned to look for clues when I used to get on the ship. If the portholes were bifocal, that was a clue. You knew the audience was going to be a little bit older than you were expecting. If the captain had the farewell party on the first night, just to be safe, that was a clue. But generally speaking, the audiences are lovely, and quite often at the end of my shows, there isn't a dry seat in the house. It's a lovely experience. One time when it wasn't a lovely experience, which I want to sing about right now, is in January last year, I got booked to perform on a ship that was leaving Southampton and crossing to the Caribbean. And it was 6 days at sea, and it was going to spend 2 weeks in the Caribbean and then sailing back to Southampton. So it was like a 30-day cruise for 2 weeks in the Caribbean. But the Brits loved it because they could join in Southampton and not have to fly anywhere. So I got booked to perform on that crossing, the 6 days. And I've done the crossings before. I quite enjoy them. 6 days at sea, it's relaxing. I get to write a lot because you're not distracted by going ashore and drinking beer and coffee. So in this particular instance, on the second day, a force 10 storm hit the ship and followed us for 5 days across the Atlantic. The captain diverted twice, and the storm followed us. It was like a little cartoon cloud over the top of the ship. It was remarkable. For 6 days, the ship was in a force 10, almost hurricane conditions, and it was horrible. I don't get seasick, but even if you're not seasick, that consistent movement, it's really horrible and makes you quite angry. And I did my show on the second day, and on the 5th day, the guy that was meant to do the show was seasick. So they asked me if I could do another performance, which I wasn't scheduled to do. So I wrote a song, especially for the occasion. And unlike the ship, the song went down well. So I kept it in the show. Now, I don't want this to put you off cruising. If you haven't cruised before, you should do it. If I didn't work on them so much, I would absolutely take my family on a cruise for a holiday, for a vacation. So don't let this put you off. But this is what happened to me on one time in 20 years. And this is called the Seasick Shanty. I should do the backing for this, actually. I don't know if this is going to work in the broadcast. Maybe we can work this in the long shot. But we have, just to try and make you feel at home. Oh, it's all going wrong. Hang on. That's one of the things they'll edit out. Pause, rewind. There you go. Okay. I'm not used to working my own tech. I have people to do this normally. Right. The Seasick Shanty. We booked a cruise on the internet, we booked it last July. But 'cause me wife is scared of heights, we didn't want to fly. We put the dog in the kennels, put the cat in the cattery. Me wife made me buy a tux, she packed all her jewellery. We booked a cruise on the internet, a trip for 30 days. Food is all included, we really were amazed. We were looking forward to cruising and to eating on the ship, but they didn't tell us that we'd spend the first week being sick. Seasick, seasick, the ship just bounced along. I'm sick, she's sick, we want to go back home. The brochure said that we had booked a Caribbean cruise. It'd show pictures of a beach and sun and lots of booze. Maybe in the small print we probably should have read that by the time we got there then we'd wish that we were dead. The food that they promised us included in the fare was laid out every evening for the passengers to share. I know some people ate it and some went back for more, 'cause when they couldn't find a bag I saw it on the floor. Seasick, seasick, my head's in the latrine. I'm sick, she's sick, we're fed up being green. I was looking forward to dancing in the evening with me wife, but it's hard to dance while holding on and fearing for your life. I tried to be romantic and give her a little kiss, but as I moved towards her, the ship moved and I missed. The gentleman I landed on looked a bit surprised. He held me in his arms and his eyes were open wide. I said, thank you, sir, for catching me, not letting me hit the floor. He gave me a wink, now every night he's knocking on me door. Seasick, seasick, the ship went up and down. I'm sick, she's sick, back to Dublin town. Every night down the corridors I've staggered and I've slunk, walking like an idiot even though I'm never drunk. I've seen people in the bars drinking all that they can take. On this ship they're the only people walking straight. We sat on deck and watched the waves crashing all around, leaping in the air 50 feet above the ground. You wouldn't want to swim in it, you'd have to be a fool. That wasn't in the ocean, that was just the swimming pool. I know when we get there and we're lying on the sand, listening to the steel drums of a Caribbean band, we'll soon forget and won't regret the advice from weathermen, until someone reminds us we've got to go back again. It's not all bad when the sea moves you all around. There can be a benefit, a silver lining that I found. Me wife felt romantic, so I suggested with a smirk, we'll go to bed and lie there, let the ship do all the work. Seasick, seasick, the holiday is great. We've both been throwing up so much, we've both lost so much weight. Seasick, seasick, now we're having fun. We're bouncing up and down in bed, the holiday has begun. Thank you very much. Right. Okay, we're going to do one more song, and then we're going to take a very quick break. We have a couple of things to broadcast to you. This is a song that I do perform in my show on the ships, because my parents sort of got me into this business. Both my parents were in the business, and I started writing songs when I was quite young. I was a teenager when I started writing my own songs while I was at school. I had a girlfriend at St. Felix. Is that still a thing? Do the girls from St. Felix, do they still put, I know we have girls here now, but do the girls from St. Felix still come and do sports and things? No? Nobody here knows. Okay, have you heard of St. Felix? Oh, okay, good. Because when I was here, there were no girls. So we used to import the girls from St. Felix. We used to have dances and things, and lots of boys wanted to learn to ballroom dance. It was the only chance we got to hold a girl. It was sad. But I had a girlfriend for a while at St. Felix. And she left me, and so I wrote a song. That's not the song I'm going to sing for you, don't worry. It was terrible and depressing. But that's when I started writing songs. Every time a girl broke up with me, I wrote a song. And I wrote a lot of songs. And they were awful, depressing songs. And then 20 years ago, I was on a ship for the first time in Hong Kong. And it was the furthest I'd ever been from home. And I was feeling homesick. Sometimes that gets an R. I was feeling homesick. And I was really missing my mum and dad. And my hamster had just died. He fell asleep at the wheel. I'm here all week. And then I wrote a song on that ship. And it's a song that I keep changing. Every time something big happens in my life, I update the song. So I got married. I've got children of my own now. Sadly, my dad passed away just a few years ago. But this isn't a sad song. It's a happy song. It's just a bit sentimental. It's called When I Was a Boy. We have a picture of when I was a boy. I know. I'm the one on the right. But I do meet a lot of ladies on some of these very wealthy cruise ships, and they spend a lot of money to try and look like the one on the left. I'll stand on a stage, entertaining a crowd, hoping they're laughing and that the applause will be loud. And amongst all the faces, I know I can see Carolyn and Ivan, Mum and Dad to me. I play rock and roll songs and the old tunes I know, Gershwin, Cole Porter, songs from the shows. All the lights are just blinding, there's smoke in the air, the two biggest smiles on the two sitting there. She was on stage long before I was born. As a child I would sit there just shouting for more. I thought even then it really could be, this business of show could be a business for me. I keep all the cuttings and the black and white photos to look at and treasure as I'm growing old. And I'll tell my children and their children too that memories like this are more precious than gold. The first time it happened, when I was in lights, I was nervous, I was shaking, I was damning stage fright, but their support never wavered. I'd made my choice. I smiled at the audience, and then I found my voice. How could she sing? How could she act? To people in thousands, how I wanted all that. So he taught me piano, so I'd be here now. I remember her singing, he taught me to bow. Then his memories were leaving, and as cruel as it seems, I know he remembered great times in his dreams, when he was loving the laughter and the cheers from the crowd. He was standing and applauding, they were feeling so proud. So now the laughter, the music and the tears, shared by the three of us for so many years, led me to be here, and the life I enjoy, and leave nostalgic memories from when I was just a boy. Now I recall the memories as days I enjoy, with Nathan and with Alfie, remembering when I was just a boy. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break for a special message from the Beaton family.
Oh, sorry guys, RHS never leaves you. But if I could kindly ask you to donate to the RHSA charity to enable children to experience all the wonderful things that we've been lucky to go through.
Band! Ready!
Oh, hi guys, sorry. RHS never leaves you. We first met Jon Courtenay on a cruise ship, travelling on the Queen Mary 2, where we instantly had a connection based on the bond we'd formed having been to RHS.
Oh, sorry guys, RHS never leaves you. We're a family that have gone through 4 generations at RHS. Recently, we've been really lucky enough to work on the COVID wards during this COVID-19 pandemic. I hope you really enjoy the show.
Oh, hey, I'd like to say a massive welcome to the RHS Alumni family. You're joining an organisation tonight as you become old pupils that spans the globe. It's a great family, it's a great network, and with that network comes lots of opportunities.
Hi guys, RHS never leaves you. Don't forget to donate for the concert tonight. I know it's free under the RHS Association, but all donations matter. So if you can spare a penny, please go ahead and donate.
Enjoy the show!
So I've had a request, but I'm still going to sing. The last time I was here at the school was in 2017, and it was for the reunion dinner. And I was very honoured to be asked to perform a show in the Jellicoe room as part of the reunion dinner. And we actually did a little concert in here as well. And there's a song that I wrote for the concert that I did at the dinner. And afterwards, a few people asked me for a copy of the lyrics, and then there was some comments on some of the RHS sites on social media asking if there was a recording of the song, and there wasn't. Nobody recorded it on the night. So I've dug it out from 2017, and I thought maybe we could do it today. This might be a little bit dated to certainly our leavers that are watching, unless you know some of the history of the school. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on social media, and I'll try and answer them for you if you don't understand anything that's referred to in this song. But hopefully we'll be getting some people watching the broadcast, some old boys as well, and girls. got to keep correcting myself. It used to be the Old Boys Association. In my head, it's still the OBA. So yes, boys and girls that have left. Although the girls that have left, you won't remember most of this stuff either. I mean, we're talking 70s, 80s, and early 90s that most of this song refers to. Anyway, when I wrote it for the dinner, I didn't have time to write the music as well as the words, so I borrowed the music, some might say stole, from a popular tune that you might recognize. So this is my RHS Memories. Sounds remarkably like the beginning of the C6 shanty. Chapel on Sundays, I was in the choir singing, bells in the tower incessantly ringing. Peter Crompton was Spider. I know that these are just some of my RHS memories. Bob Good and Maggie Good for English and French class, cross countries in winter and getting a chapped ass, discos with St. Felix, the girls would all tease. These are my RHS memories. When the sparrows fart, then the showers start, we were tired and sad. 30 young boys all just standing in line, now it just sounds so bad. Long before iPhones, when there were just 2 phones, long before email, we wrote letters by Royal Mail, standing in courtyards when your name was heard. You'd got a letter, you were top of the world. Marching to classrooms in evening for prep time, listening to Walkmans at night after bedtime, Albert Hall concerts on many school trips. Saturday mess time was burgers and chips. Inter-house competitions and our trophy cases, speech days and prizes, victorious faces, sailing in small boats, Alton Reservoir Lake. Which was the best house? Of course it was Blake. Oh yeah. Then the girls came and it all changed, and I'm quite upset. Not that they opened the school to the girls, but that they waited till I left. My time at this school made me an achiever. Now I'm so proud to do a show for the leavers. Thank you for having me and sharing these Royal Hospital School memories. I don't know if all of that's going to get broadcast. Some of it might have been edited. I hope not. So when you play the piano, people expect you to play something classical. And Peter Crompton was the director of music here for my entire time at this school, and I owe him so much. I hope he gets to watch this broadcast. It's a shame I couldn't see you today, Peter, but I hope you're well. And Peter was a wonderful inspiration to me. I was in the school choir for my whole time here and enjoyed every second of it. As has been said in previous broadcasts and a few social media things that I've done for RHS, I learned to play the piano at every opportunity when I was at the school. Every stand easy, is it still called stand easy? Okay, good, that hasn't changed. Every stand easy, I would be in the assembly hall, and I'd play the piano in the assembly hall every single day without fail. And then I'd often sneak off to the music block, the old music block, often during French class. Sorry, Maggie Good. Often during French class because I wasn't very good at French, and my teacher wasn't fantastic. He is no longer here, but he wasn't as good as Maggie. I'm digging a hole, I'm going to shut up. So I used to skip French class occasionally and go and play the piano either in the chapel vestry, because that was a great hidey hole, nobody could see down there. And that's where I basically learned to play, and I tried to put in my 10,000 hours or whatever it is you're meant to do. But I never really learned classical music. I had a piano teacher for a while, and she wanted me to learn classical. And I learned a few pieces. I learned some Beethoven and some Chopin and things like that. But I didn't want to be a classical pianist. I wanted to play rock and roll, and I wanted to play jazz, and I wanted to play boogie-woogie and all that kind of stuff. But I did learn a few classical pieces, and now when I perform, people expect me to play something classical. So I have put together a little medley of a few classical pieces that I think you might recognize, even if you're not into classical music, because not everybody appreciates classical music. Some people think it's a bit boring. Some people think it's elitist. My butler at home thinks it's elitist. I don't know why. So we're going to start with Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto in C sharp. I'm actually going to play it in C because it's easier. There are less black notes. I get paid the same, and most of you won't even notice. So this is Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto in C. And then we're going to have a little bit of Debussy's Clair de Lune. All the great, there are certain composers that you have to learn to play. All the famous composers. Debussy, Chopin, Bach, The important ones. So there's going to be a little bit of a Beethoven is going to be in there. What was Beethoven? I'll ask a question to my live audience. What was Beethoven's favourite fruit? Anybody know? Banana. They're rolling in the aisles. I wish you could see it. It's remarkable. A little bit of Debussy's Clair de Lune. What else is in this? There's going to be an Elvis Presley song in the middle of the classical medley for any Elvis fans. It was a big hit long before Elvis did it. And then there's going to be there's a piece by a French piano player called Richard Clayderman, who's still alive. He's not. Yeah, you remember Richard Clayderman? Yeah. He's a French performer. His music is still very popular in lifts. And John Lewis. So Richard Clayderman, very, very popular piece of music that he wrote in the 90s. Actually, the year I was born, he had a big hit with this piece of music. And I think my love of classical music started with my first girlfriend. When I was 18, I fell in love for the first time with a beautiful girl. She was much older than me. She was a lady. She was 30 years old. I was only 18. I just left RHS. And I fell in love with Lorraine. And she ignited my passion for classical music and older women. So I started working on cruise ships. That seemed to cover both. There's some wonderful classical music on cruise ships and some foxy ladies. So Lorraine and I dated for about a year, and then we broke up. We had to break up because she left me. She told me that I never listened to her, or something like that. I don't know. She was a remarkable lady. We used to argue a lot. You know, no relationship is perfect. I was only 18. You don't know any. You think you know everything. Trust me. The leavers out there, you think you know everything. There's so much more to discover once you leave school. But I was 18, just left RHS, full of life, joie de vivre. Is that right? Joie de vivre? So we broke up. But then I met my second girlfriend. My second girlfriend was called Clara, or Clara. She preferred Clara. And Clara and I dated for about another year. And again, she was a wonderful classical piano player. So my love of classical music continued when Clara and I were dating. And she was a remarkable lady. She only had one eye. Her left eye was a glass eye, an artificial eye. And I had no idea when we met. It just fell out in conversation. I asked her, she was so beautiful. I said, Clara, why are you going out with me? And she said, John, I always go for the first man who catches my eye. So Claire and I dated, and in fact, just before I play the classical music, which I'll be honest with you, it's a very passionate piece of music, and I want to get you in the mood for the classical music. So I'm going to tell you very quickly the passionate story that happened between Clara and I when we were dating. One afternoon, Clara was trying to reach something in the bottom of the freezer, a chest freezer or a deep freeze, whatever you want to call it, with the big lid that hinges at the back like that. So she's trying to reach something inside the freezer, and I crept up behind her, and I wrapped my arms around her waist, and I kissed her, and I said, Clara, I love you. And she said, John, I love you too. She ran her hands across my chest. She undid the buttons on my shirt one by one, because that was easier than undoing them all at the same time. I undid the zip on the back of her dress. It fell to the floor, the whole dress, not just the zip. I don't mean the zip fell on the floor. It was still attached to the dress. I didn't know if maybe you were confused. You wouldn't expect the zip to fall off. Even if you buy your clothes cheap from TK Maxx or a charity shop, you wouldn't expect the zip to fall off when you undid the zip. I don't know why I mentioned it. I'm just making it clear that the zip was still attached to the dress. For the zip to fall off, all the stitching would have to come undone simultaneously, or it would have to be very faulty. Sometimes you can buy a dress with a faulty zip. It might say faulty zip on the label, and they've knocked a bit of money off because the zip's faulty. But that doesn't mean the zip's going to fall off. It probably just means you can't even do the zip up properly because there's like a kink in the actual tracks or something. It's impossible to fix, by the way. Don't try and fix a broken zip. You've probably got to buy a new zip and sew a new zip on with a matching coloured cotton. And let's be honest, if you're not very good at sewing, you've probably got to pay someone to do it, like a tailor or a seamstress. At the end of the day, you're probably going to spend more money fixing the zip than the amount of money they knocked off the item because it had a faulty zip in the first place. That's why it's called a false economy. Trust me, just buy the item with a fixed zip in the first place. It's much more time. Anyway, the zip was fine. Or find a dress with buttons, because buttons are much more feasible. If one button falls off, you just replace the one button. That's the rule of thumb, right? You've heard of that. Unless you haven't got thumbs, then buttons are much more harder because you need the thumb to push the button through the buttonhole. With a zip, theoretically, you could just use 2 fingers to pull the zip down. So thumbs up for zips, not so much for buttons. What about Velcro? Why don't more people use Velcro? I think Velcro's a fantastic invention. Some people think it's a rip-off, but I like it. Anyway, the zip was fine. And very soon we were both standing there in front of the freezer, completely naked. So I closed the lid of the freezer, because it was a bit cold and that wasn't helping. And I lifted her up and I sat her on the edge of the freezer and we kissed again, and this time it was more passionate. And she looked me in the eyes and she said, "John, make love to me here and now on top of the freezer." And I thought, ooh, kinky. So I looked her in the eye. That was literally 2 minutes ago. Come on, people. Listen, I don't want to upset people. I don't want to shock people. I don't want to offend people. I think we're mostly adults that are watching, possibly. So I feel that I can tell you that we were two adults in a loving relationship. So I'm not ashamed to say that we did make love on top of the freezer. And it was a beautiful and sensual and passionate experience. And we've been banned from Tesco's. But it was worth it. As I said, my first girlfriend was called Lorraine, and my second girlfriend was called Clara. So just before we play the classical music, and just before we take another quick break, this is a lovely song called "I Can See Clara, Now Lorraine Has Gone." I can see Clara now, Lorraine has gone. We're going to take another very quick break. This is some very important messages. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
My name is Brandon Hylton. I attended RHS from 2016 to 2018, an opportunity only made possible by a very generous bursary. RHS again was a fantastic experience as it gave me the confidence and some life experience to join my dream job in the Metropolitan Police, where I'm now on the Robbery Crime Task Force, which is a covert proactive unit tackling robberies in and around London. At RHS, I was able to engage in a number of extracurricular activities such as horse riding and pottery, which would never have been able to be accessed by me if I stayed in Tottenham. Bursaries are absolutely life-changing and phenomenal to people like me, and I think now, more than ever, children from BAME communities should be provided with these life-changing experiences in order for ripple effects to be created not only in the schools that they attend, but also in their home communities.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. Just before we do the classical music, I will play you something classical. I have another new song, which I've written especially for this occasion. I did write it originally as a poem, and I recorded it as a poem with me playing a tune underneath the poem. And then 2 days ago, of course, we lost Dame Vera Lynn, the force's sweetheart. So I thought it'd be quite nice to rewrite the poem as a song and perform it to the tune of her biggest hit, which was We'll Meet Again. And of course, that's very applicable at the moment with everything that's been going on and these incredibly strange times that we are living through. So this is dedicated to all of you. And this is, it's called It'll Be All Right, to the tune of We'll Meet Again. Everyone singing about being stuck in, everyone waiting for normal life to begin. But it's a sin not to grin about what's coming when this is all over and it's all a has-been. Kids back with their friends, splashing through puddles, rugby players back in their scrums and their huddles, weddings back on so the groom and the bridal be eager to share their love and their cuddle. Telling you'll meet them here for a beer. Stadiums ringing again with the cheers. Back in Blackpool on the big one, walking the pier. Social distancing distant, a new atmosphere. Back to the contact that we as humans crave. Not worried a hug will result in the grave. Holding hands with a loved one, knowing that they've not got to watch from a distance and just wave. When stopping for a chat isn't raising their eyebrows, when stages are open with actors taking their bows, when we're wandering round shops with the freedom to browse, not just exercising in fields in the company of cows. It's tempting now to say enough is enough and the sanctions rebuff. But if we huff and we puff, we're gonna spread this stuff. But this too shall pass, it won't always be this tough. Try to look forward to when our parks will be full again. Kids will have friends over, building a den again. Studios will have audiences with cameramen again. Churches full of people saying amen again. In years instead of tears, our kids will reminisce with the happiest memories, not about stuff they missed. Mum and Dad were home every day to play, even if Mum was fueled by Chardonnay. And while money may be tight, we're all in this fight together. So when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's still there and bright, and we're getting closer, so it'll be all right. And my friend, in the end, you know, we'll meet again.
We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
Thank you very much. Right, let's do the classical quickly to keep all our classical aficionados happy. So this is the way I'm going to do this with my wonderful technical crew, and hopefully this is going to be fantastic on the broadcast. As I say, I often work with a live band, and sometimes it's an 8 or 9 piece band. And what I did, I had one of these live bands record me performing this piece. And then we took out the piano, so I was left with the live band performing the backing track, rather than, because you can make backing tracks nowadays. I'm sure a lot of you realize this with a lot of computer software and without using any real instruments at all. But this is actually a live band. It's a 9-piece band accompanying me with this classical piece. So I hope you enjoy this. See if you can name all the tunes. See if you can recognize the Elvis. Bonus points if you spot the Elvis. Here we go. Okay, well, we've reached the time to say goodbye. Once again, thank you so much for having me. A huge thank you to the RHSA who have sponsored this show, and to Simon Marsh for arranging it and staying in touch with me. And everybody, yeah, thanks for having me back. I hope I'm going to have a little bit of time to wander around. A bit of a rush getting here, you might have noticed, for the beginning of the show. But I'm going to go out and have a wander around and see just how much has changed and if it's managed to carry on without me. Sponsored by Volvic, the show, obviously. This is the Volvic and RHSA. So yes, it's been my pleasure. And I have something to finish with, which I've never done before. This is what I was learning in the car. But I really wanted to do it for this broadcast. And the way, I need to explain how this is going to work. I've written some words, and I haven't written a tune, because I like improvising. Sometimes it's nice to write a tune, but sometimes it's nice just to go with it, to whatever you feel like doing. And that's basically what this is. It's a totally improvised song, basically, but with words that are pre-written. Does that make sense? It's unusual. Not many people do this, but I find it quite, I wouldn't say easy, but it's almost relaxing to be able to play like this and not have to stick to a rehearsed tune. What I have done, I've taken a familiar riff, which most of you will be too young to recognize this. Maggie, do you recognize this? If I play this riff, you recognize that, yeah? Yeah, a very old song. Nina Simone, is that what we're thinking? Yeah. So there's a very old song called My Baby Just Cares for Me. My baby don't care for shows. My baby don't care for... It's a great, great jazz song by the wonderful Nina Simone. And that riff is what is played throughout that song. But that riff fits 100 tunes. A lot of them are very old. You can do Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart. It's another old song. Mean to me, why must you be mean to me? So that you can put almost any tune over the top of that. And did those feet in ancient time? That doesn't work. But most songs you can put over the top of that riff. I wanted to do one that everybody would know who was watching, but it doesn't work. So we're going to use that as the basis for the song. And this is it's called the Leavers song. Being asked to do this performance, what it made me think, I'm not a big one for looking back. I try not to reminisce too much, mainly because I've got older. And when you start reminiscing, it makes you realize just how old you are. Nobody ever feels as old as they actually are. I remember asking my dad on his 80th birthday, I said, Dad, you're 80 years old, you're officially an old man. How old do you feel? And he said, 40. I feel the same as when I was 40. So, of course, when I turned 40, I got thoroughly depressed because I thought I may as well be 80. It's going to be that for the next 40 years. And that was 7 years ago, so I'm nearer to 50 now. But I did start looking back for this song because RHS doesn't seem that long ago. And to our leavers, you're going to hear a phrase in the rest of your life over and over again. Older people will tell you, time goes by quickly. When you get married, they'll say, oh, the day will go so quickly. You'll have kids, and they'll say, the kids growing up will happen so quickly. And everybody says that for one reason and one reason only. It's true. Cliches are cliches because they're true. And people will tell you that. And please listen to it. And please try and absorb every single moment. This is basically what's happened since I left school. So 1991 is when I left. And that's what this song is about. And hopefully it will make you think as you go through life about what you're living through, because this has just happened, it seems like yesterday. So, the Leavers song. My time at RHS begun in 1984 till 91. Since then, by a quick calculation, 29 speech days have come and gone. That's 8,000 days of walking through hallways, 1,160 Sundays, heaven knows how many seafarers' hymns, Lord prayers and Jerusalems. So many assemblies, countless divisions, final exams after endless revisions, new teachers arriving, old ones leave boldly, in retirement remembered, not all of them fondly. This is the time that has passed since I was at school, when bleached jeans were trendy and shoulder pads were cool. 2 years after I left, black holes were discovered. 6 years was the car crash, Diana never recovered. My school years were YouTube and Facebook free. Not until I was 20 did I see a flat screen TV. Windows was new, a computer got a mouse. I was 35 years old to see a black man in the White House. 7 years after leaving, Google was created. The same year as Viagra, so more people mated. The next year the world hit 6 billion humans. Amongst the great and the good, we still had our demons. It was America in 1999, 15 students dead in Columbine. Tobacco companies admitted their products were shit. I'd left school for 10 years when the Twin Towers were hit. Before Monica Lewinsky dropped to her knees, before The Simpsons or Friends or Mandela was freed, before Boris and Brexit, before you could text, before Harry Potter was written, when RHS was one sex. This school was boys only since 1712. Then a decision was made that they had to evolve. Girls would be admitted, the discussions went on. All seemed to agree, we'll wait until John's gone. I'm not over it. Everything changes and changes everything. And yet the year that I left, there was a man called Rodney King, a black man in America, beaten by police, led to riots and killings. So some things never cease. Go out in the world and change what you can. Be a force for reason, a girl or man with a plan. Take RHS with you in your thoughts and your deeds. Take the path less traveled, who knows where it leads. And one day you'll look back and count the years that have passed since you marched on this parade ground or sat in the class. There will be great changes that make the newscast, and I hope they are changes in which you've played a part. Where your life will lead you now is a mystery, but hold your head high, knowing part of your history is forever embedded in these grounds and these walls. It's a foundation for life, the Royal Hospital School. Yeah, yeah. Whoa. The problem with improvised music is knowing how to end it. Thank you, everybody. All the best. Best wishes. Best of luck to the leavers. And thank you once again to the RHSA for having me. All the best. Goodbye.